That's done. I'm recording now. All right. So as I was saying, um, so Bitcoin is decentralized. There is no one point of attack. That's number one. It is a peer-to-peer system. Okay. What does peer-to-peer mean? It means that I send it to whoever I want to send it to, as long as they have the tools to accept it. When I send it to whoever I'm sending it to, I don't need a third party to validate the transaction. What does that mean? A peer-to-peer system can't exist in the financial sector currently, the traditional one that we have, because when I go to ShopRite and I pay for food, there needs to be a third party to verify the validity of the transaction. Okay, there's even actually more than one third party. There are so many of them that go through that one transaction, but the point is there's an intermediary between you and ShopRite. There are 4 other companies that need to validate the transaction that you are doing before it can happen successfully. In Bitcoin, the validation or the verification of the transaction happens on the blockchain, right? So I will explain how that happens when I explain the blockchain. So peer-to-peer simply means I send it to Silo, Silo sends it to me, he sends it to Pauline without needing verification or approval from the government, without needing verification or approval from a bank, without needing verification or approval from the mayor, the president, etc., etc. You just send it from one peer to the next. Okay? It is a monetary system. What does that mean? That means that whatever gets produced by the system has a certain value that can be sold or changed or interchanged for certain goods. So you can use it just like you can use gold to buy or purchase certain things. And it's also a monetary system because it has what we call store of value characteristics. What does that mean? Store of value characteristics means since Bitcoin was first launched in 2009 on the 3rd of January, when the first transaction took place, it has grown in value, in monetary value, and by this I mean currency, from 0 rands, $0, 0 Kenyan shillings, 0 pounds, etc., to today being valued at an all-time high of 64,500 US dollars. Gold, which is a system of money that has existed longer than any other system, existed for 5,500 years. And the all-time high that gold has reached is 2,000 US dollars, 2,000 US dollars. So Bitcoin has already proven that in terms of monetary value, in terms of its utility, and it's in terms of its ability to attract a majority of people through its network effects, it has been able to grow in value from 0 to an all-time high of 64,500, which is many, many, many times over the price of gold, which is the all-time high 2,000. Okay, so it has a store of value. That's why it's a monetary protocol. The reason why I choose to use the English phrase monetary protocol is because on the internet, no one could say the internet is the email, even though in the 90s, people used to say that. So the word email and internet used to be interchangeable, right? People were not able to identify that the email was an application that was built on the internet. The internet was the protocol. So today we have Bitcoin as the second stage of the internet. Remember when I first started explaining the internet, I said to you, music, videos, documents, words can be copied. They can be duplicated. That's what the internet allows you to do. It allows you to share things with other people. What then Bitcoin does is that it creates a second level of the internet where it allows you and I to send value over the internet. So you can't send value over the internet, the normal internet, because it is a duplicate system. If I send you 100 rands and you receive it, but I still have it, that eliminates the value in that 100 rands, right? So Bitcoin allows me to send you the 100 rands and then not have it so that it can retain its value as 100 rands. Okay, so now we have gone through the fact that Bitcoin is a decentralized peer-to-peer monetary protocol. The first application of Bitcoin is money. This means there is a huge possibility of having more applications on the Bitcoin protocol. But for now, the first application is money. This is why so many people who are smart, and you must realize this, people who are scamming people are not dumb people. All these companies that are started, that are last a year and a half or 2 years max, that are in the Bitcoin space, that are stealing people's money in the billions of dollars, are started by very smart people. And today I want you guys to look at history, because history rhymes and it repeats, right? So during the times of the gold, the gold rush, very smart countries went as far as being extremely violent to other people and other countries and their land, just so that they could get their hands on Bitcoin, on gold. Sorry. They found gold to be so valuable that they believed there was nothing they could not do in order to acquire as much of it as possible. Countries like Britain, countries like France, countries like Belgium, countries like America, etc., went out of their way to deploy soldiers to go to war, to colonize countries, just so that they could acquire gold. So you are sitting here thinking that people are not going to scam you to get Bitcoin. It's because you don't understand it. I've already explained to you that in monetary value, it has far exceeded the value, that the highest value that gold has reached in currency. So that in itself should tell you that this thing is extremely, extremely valuable. And this is why smart people that unfortunately don't have a conscience are going around the world starting companies that are usurping from you your hard-earned money. It's because they understand that the future will be defined on this protocol. Just like the smart people of the 90s understood that the future will be defined on top of the internet. The smart ones who then invested in the internet are today's billionaires. They are the ones who are telling you to wear a mask today because they made the decision to acquire power in 1990. They are the ones to tell you to stay in your house today. They are the ones who are telling you to take a vaccine, even though they are not doctors. They've never completed a degree in university. Because if you study economics, you understand that money is power. If you know how to acquire money, you are able to also acquire power. And power doesn't matter who acquires it. It doesn't require you to know how to use it. Okay? Anyone can acquire power, and then they can decide to use it however they choose to. So you and I are sitting in the same place that Bill Gates, that Jeff Bezos, that Jack Ma, that Michael Saylor, that Mark Zuckerberg set in back in the 90s in the development of the internet. With the understanding of what Bitcoin is and how important it is to the future, not only of the world, but specifically of this continent called Africa, we can decide today to choose this protocol and this system with an understanding that an entire world will exist on top of it in the future, in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And if we own a part of it, we will be empowered. We will be in a position of power to make decisions about not only Africa, but the world. Because Bill Gates doesn't make decisions about America only. He makes decisions about the world, every single continent, because he has that much power and that much influence and reach. So we as Africans know the history of this continent. We know that we've been oppressed to this day. We know that we don't control and own our land and the resources that underlie the land. We know that our lives are predicated on other people's allowing us to do and be certain things on a day-to-day basis. We are actually not living as Africans, but we exist. Because people who live decide what they want to do. People who exist wait for people who are real decision makers to make the decisions for them, then they carry on. So for us to be in a position where we can decide to actually live the way our great ancestors used to in this beautiful continent that is full of abundance, is for us to position ourselves properly with a system that God has now provided us, because it came out of the blue. We don't know who made it, but it works. People have tested it continuously on a day-to-day basis for 9, 10, 11 years, and it continues to work. Governments that think they have power have banned it, have destroyed mining companies, have tried all sorts of tricks to destroy the system. It still works. And even in the midst of them doing those things, it continues to gain too much value. And as it grows, so does the current system die. This is why governments have a problem with Bitcoin, because the development and growth of Bitcoin destroys the traditional financial system, which the governments control. South Africans know this very well. Since the COVID-19 pandemic has happened, Governments has taken so many funds and stolen them for themselves. It's because the system is centralized that they can do that. If the system was on the blockchain, they could not do that because it doesn't allow for such things to happen. People are able to steal from you because of the lack of knowledge that you have about the system that we have. I've already explained to you why they have a motivation to, first of all, create these stupid companies, then come to you and speak this big English that is not necessary, and then take all of your money. Some of them will come to you and say they've created the new Bitcoin. They will use the story of MySpace as an example to say MySpace was the first social network, which is a lie, but most people think it was. So they will say MySpace was the first social network, but it was not the one that succeeded. Facebook followed it up, and Facebook was the one that was successful. So this doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin is the be all and end all. Bitcoin can be replaced by something else, which we have created. So one of the biggest scams before MTI and AfriCrypt was one that was in Europe, which was created by a lady who holds a PhD. Again, look at the people that start this. They are very smart people who know that if we can get our hands on 100,000 Bitcoin, 70,000 Bitcoin, 30,000 Bitcoin, the future of our lives and the lives of our children will be defined. Let me just give you a small snippet of history. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understand the context of tonight's meeting. It might go over the hour, but whatever I'm going to say to you today, I need to say it to you. You need to know and you need to understand, right? But if you feel like maybe after 8 or at 8 o'clock you need to leave, then it's fine. But I will continue. And then, like I said earlier, I will ask my two colleagues to also pitch in with the experience that they have. Just a quick snippet of history. If you want to know how the world operates, who is in charge, how they are in charge, go back to the early 1900s. Carnegie, Rockefeller, who's this one now? This big bank, man. The big bank that used to like saying Bitcoin is shit. JP Morgan, he's an actual individual. These gentlemen are one of about 15 to 20 individuals who realized the power of the railway industry and realized the power of oil. They then decided that they are going to do everything in their power to position themselves and their families in these two industries because they know that these are the industries of the future. Now, the world since then has been controlled by these individuals one way or another. Their children, their wives, it doesn't matter. They are the ones who started coming up with something called philanthropy, which people love. They created things that are called foundations in order to infiltrate different industries. I'll give you one example. Pharmaceuticals is an industry that uses oil as its main ingredient in creating what is called medicine for different diseases. There was no need for pharmaceuticals in the 1900s because people used to eat healthy foods that did not make them sick. Okay, so they did not need to go to hospital for anything. There were no clinics. People just ate. And there was that one doctor in the community that if you had some ailment that was strange, you could go to and they would help you with whatever herbs they needed to use on you. But in general, there was no need for hospitals. There was no need for clinics. There was no need for doctors, right? The development of doctors came with a foundation that was created by Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller decided that he's in the oil business and he needs to start creating products and selling them in such a large scale that he can make so much money that he doesn't even know what to do with. But in order for him to create that, he needs to create a market because currently that market doesn't exist. So he created the Rockefeller Foundation and started going around universities in America, specifically universities that had medicine as a subject. Then he started saying, look, you guys are grooming people to understand how health works. And these people are now studying what we know as holistic health. So doctors back in the day used to study holistic health, biochemistry, and understanding how the body works. I can assure you now, if you ask a doctor how the body works today, a majority of them have an idea, but they don't really know exactly because they're not necessarily being taught how the body works in university. They are being taught how to give medicine for certain things, how to dispense pharmaceuticals. That's the main type of foundation or core of what the education is. And it's not by mistake. It's because Rockefeller intended it to be that way. So he said, this holistic health thing, I mean, we see it, but there's science now. So me as Rockefeller, we've decided that we've made so much money in business. We want to fund education and academia. These people are the smartest minds that we have. So can we fund them to do research and try to find out whether or not it's possible to create cures that are not this holistic, what do they call it when they disrespect holistic health and holistic healing? I forgot. But basically just minimizing holistic health, to say it's not scientific, it's not based on anything, it's just something that people have done for years, but we need something that is scientific based on maths that can be proven, right? So what he did with the Rockefeller Foundation, I'm just going to give this quick example and then I'm going to move back to Bitcoin, is he started putting people in the board of the medical schools across America. Once he had an individual in each of the medical schools across America, he gave them money without asking for anything, right? So he would just give them money. They would then do whatever research they saw fit. Whatever they wanted to fund, whatever equipment they wanted to buy, they would buy. So he did this for a period of about 3 years. I stand to be corrected, but he did it for some time. Then after that period, he asked them, I mean, since I've been giving you money every year and you've done such great work in your universities, don't you believe that I deserve to at least put more people on the board to ensure that whatever money I donate to you is used properly? Because there is a bit of corruption in the university of people stealing some of the money for themselves. The universities, of course, are like, look, Chief, you've been giving us money, so much money, without asking us or telling us what to do with it. You can do whatever you want. So then he started putting many more people on the boards of these medical schools to an extent where the boards ended up being made up by people that Rockefeller had handpicked himself in every single medical school in America, right? Then the main mandate that these individuals were given was, I have oil as a business. I want to build what is called pharmaceuticals. I want to create an industry called the pharmaceutical industry. These people who are in medical schools are going to be the ones to assist me to create this industry. Your duty is to make sure that the funds I'm giving to these medical schools are going into research on how to create drugs that cure diseases from this oil, right? And then we can sell them to individuals. Then he started buying up newspapers and magazines so that he could start spreading propaganda. He started bashing holistic healing and promoting scientific healing, right? So that is the power that he had. Today, we see health as one with pharmaceuticals. We can't even differentiate the two. When you are sick, the first thing you think about is taking a pill. You don't think about taking a walk and drinking water, because that just seems stupid. It's not scientific. But it can work to heal you, but you don't know that, because what we've been raised to know is that when you get sick, the first thing that you do is try to get a pill or a drug of some sort. So this man has managed single-handedly to change the entire medical space, not only of America, but of the entire globe, because he positioned himself in an industry that was starting to be powerful. He saw what it could do for the future, and then he decided to take advantage of it. As a result, his children's children are decision makers today in today's world. They decide whether you shut down your country. They decide whether you have banks in your country or not. They decide whether you can give people their land back or not. They are the ones who make those decisions. So today, as people who understand Bitcoin, not just in it to make a quick buck, to buy a beautiful car, to buy clothes, to buy a house, but the bigger picture of Bitcoin is that this is what defines the future, this system here. And I'm putting my head on the block to say, after having spent 5 years in this industry, looking into this thing, studying it as much as I have, having the context of studying economic history and seeing how economic power is usurped and is gained by people and governments, I'm telling you now, I put my life on the line to say, this is where the future is going to exist, Bitcoin. That is the only reason why these people are studying scams, right? They know that this is the new gold. So they are going to do everything in their power to start the AfriCrypt, to start the MTI, to start the OneCoin, to start all these stupid things and then disappear with your money. I'm going to tell you another thing. Money is so powerful. And because of the greediness of the governments of the world today, There's no way that the people that have stolen your Bitcoin are going to be arrested. I want to break it to you today. There's no way. The people who stole your Bitcoin have power. They have more power than governments. Governments are starting to understand the power that Bitcoin offers. So they know that themselves, that if they go after these boys, these two boys that ran AfriCrypt, they've gone wherever they've gone. And again, it's not like they live underwater. So there is a country in the world that has allowed them to come in. It has allowed them to get a place to stay, to have clothes to wear and food to eat, right? Which means that country realizes that these people have power. So if we can build a friendship with them, we might be able to get some of it. So AfriCrypt took about 71,000 Bitcoin from South Africans and other people from the world, but mainly South Africans. So that scam took away 71,000 Bitcoin. That is Bitcoin that is valued at around 3.6 billion US dollars. Now, to give you some context, Satoshi Nakamoto, who's the founder or the creator of Bitcoin, has a wallet that has 1 million Bitcoin. He might have other wallets that have other Bitcoin, but there's a foundational wallet that no one touches, where those Bitcoin just don't move. They are there to maintain the system and maintain the value of Bitcoin and ensure that it never collapses. That wallet has 1 million Bitcoin. At a price of, I think, 120,000, again, I don't want to lie, but I don't remember the exact amount, but at a certain price over 100,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto will be the wealthiest person to ever exist in history with the number of Bitcoin that he has. No one knows him. He's never been in the news. He hasn't created a company that you can touch. It's just someone who created the system, launched it, and kept 1 million of these things for himself and just watched the world. Just watch the world gravitate towards this thing because he knows people want freedom. Whether they know it or not, at some point, they're going to gravitate towards the system because it gives them freedom. And that is what is going to make him the wealthiest person to probably ever exist. Because I can tell you one thing. Every single year, more and more people come into the Bitcoin space. More and more people adopt Bitcoin. And as that happens, the value of Bitcoin economically has to go up. That's scientific. So it will continue to go up. We don't know until which point. I can tell you today that we have reached an amount of $65,000 as a maximum all-time high, and we have less than 500 million people in the world using Bitcoin, knowing about Bitcoin, even having a clue of what Bitcoin is. The world population is currently sitting at 7.8 billion people. Facebook and WhatsApp, which are the biggest businesses in terms of network effects, have around 2.53 billion people using them. So that means Bitcoin still has to catch up with Facebook. And Bitcoin, if it was considered a share, would already be priced at much more than the Facebook share today. And Facebook has more than 2.5 billion people using it on a monthly basis. So you know for sure that due to the network effects, people are seeing what people are gaining by being part of Bitcoin. That even if they were scammed in the past before, they still gravitate towards coming back to it because they can see that there's something here. I don't know what it is, but it's there. So what I'm saying to you is word of mouth is powerful. I'm here telling you about Bitcoin, right? Once you hear about it, you will be, and let's say you put 100 rands in it, you wake up the following day, you see that 100 rands being 120 without you having done anything. We talk too much as people. You quickly run to someone, you won't say to them, get Bitcoin, you're just gonna tell them, this is what happened to me. Then the next thing you know, that person found a way to download a wallet, they also got Bitcoin. They saw the same thing, they told someone else. So this is what we call the network effects of Bitcoin. It doesn't need a marketing plan and a marketing company. Itself, the way it's designed, is meant to make you advertise it. Especially once you've studied it and understood the actual fundamentals of it, you will never stop talking about it, right? Whether you get paid for it or not. That is the fundamentals that we need to get. Okay, so that is Bitcoin. Now, I need to explain what the Bitcoin blockchain is, okay? It's 2 minutes to 8, so hopefully I'll be able to do this quick. So, to understand the blockchain, we need to understand how the current financial system works. When you make a payment, there's something called the four-party model. Let's say I go to ShopRite and I pay for groceries. The first thing that happens is that the machine will say authorizing, that point of sale machine, once I put my card in. When it says authorizing, it is contacting the card owner which might be Visa, MasterCard, or Union Pay. The card owner then contacts the bank, which is the card issuer. That bank can be FNB, Standard Bank, NetBank, Capitec, etc., to say there's a card of yours currently on this point of sale machine at this shop to try to purchase something. We want to identify whether this person's account has the funds necessary to pay for these goods. The bank, which is the card issuer, then says, yes, Sillo does have the funds in the account. You can accept the transaction. We will give you the authorization code, which is the right to the funds. If it's 2,000 rands, the authorization code gives that point of sale machine, which belongs to ShopRite, the right of ShopRite to take those funds from your account. But those funds don't leave your account immediately. You then get an SMS from your bank approving the transaction, and then quickly you see that machine saying approved. Then it says remove your card. The transaction is complete, right? Then some of you will wonder, say, hey, I bought groceries last week from Pick n Pay. And when I log into my online banking under pending, that transaction still says pending. So here's what happens. In order to bank transactions, this is where the word bank comes in. Banking simply means taking the money that is owed to me as the merchant who was paid by Gitumetse when he came to buy stuff from the bank that he banks with. That is a process. Okay, that bank has to transfer the funds to the bank of the merchant, and then that bank of the merchant has to put those funds into the account of the shop, right? So that process is called banking. And because it's expensive, certain merchants, depending on their size, have a certain day of the week where they do their banking. So restaurants, which are small businesses, generally take longer to bank because it's expensive. So they want to get as many transactions as possible before they bank them. So you'll find that maybe you spend at a restaurant and that the transaction is pending for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, you see it disappear and then get debited on your transactional history. That means that now the restaurant has actually taken the funds of the food that you ate 2 weeks before. Pick n Pay, because it's such a big company, it usually does their banking every week. They will maybe have 1 or 2 days in a week where they take all the transactions that happened and then bank them and then collect all those funds into their bank account. So that is the traditional method of doing it. So you need Visa, you need MasterCard, you need Union Pay, you need FNB, you need NetBank, Capitec, Investec, Standard Bank, all these banks. So these are all the organizations that you need to do that one transaction. Ne? So in Bitcoin, the designers and the creators of Bitcoin created it so that it only requires one action and one entity for one transaction. That entity or that one action happens on what we call the blockchain. So what is the blockchain? The blockchain is in accounting what we call a ledger. That is where all the transactions that happen on the Bitcoin network are recorded. So when you do a transaction with Bitcoin, it gets recorded on the blockchain, on that ledger. It is a transparent ledger, which every single person who has access to the internet can see, whether they use Bitcoin or not. We can quickly go onto the blockchain and see transactions taking place there and there. It's the most transparent system in the world. So the blockchain is that ledger. The way that ledger works is in blocks of 10 minutes. So 10-minute blocks. Every time we do transactions, they get recorded on the ledger. And the characteristics that I've talked about when I said we have 6 characteristics of money, the 7th one is immutability. This is where it comes in. So on the blockchain, when your transaction is recorded and put on the ledger, it's called verified. So the transaction is complete and it's settled. So remember when I said Pick n Pay has a day in the week where they bank transactions. So today's transaction has the transaction and then it has the settlement. In Bitcoin, the transaction and the settlement happen at the same time. So instead of waiting a few days for the settlement to take place, the transaction and the settlement happen at the same time, and they don't require any third party in order for that to happen. The mining machine, which collects all the transactions in that block, is the one that determines both of those actions. So you do a transaction with Bitcoin, it gets sent into the blockchain. The blockchain has 10-minute blocks that it works with. So you have a block in this 10 minutes where all the transactions that have happened in this 10 minutes are thrown into. Then you have a competition. The competition is We have different companies in the world. If you were reading the news, you would realize that mining companies, Bitcoin mining companies were shut down en masse in China in the past 2 weeks. Those companies, their sole purpose is to do what I've just said now, to go onto the blockchain with their computers, search for transactions that people are doing, verify those transactions to say, yes, Pauline does have these Bitcoins that she wants to send to Silo. So you can approve this transaction and settle it now. Then it approves, we move on. Then each and every machine that successfully solves the block of transactions every 10 minutes gets rewarded with Bitcoin. That's how Bitcoin gets produced into the world. So this blockchain is because we have blocks of 10-minute transactions. Those blocks get solved by mining machines, which are owned by mining companies. And then once those blocks get solved, the transaction gets recorded on the blockchain, and the immutability means no one can ever change that action. So in order for you to change the transaction, let's say you and I now do a Bitcoin transaction. If you want to change the transaction or delete it, you have to delete the transaction that took place before it, the one that took place before that one, the one that took place before that one, going backwards until 2009 when the first transaction in Bitcoin took place. So this is why we are saying the blockchain is an immutable system. You cannot change anything that gets recorded on the blockchain. This is why whenever we train people and introduce them to Bitcoin, we say, if you're sending money to a wallet, make sure you have verified that wallet address. Make sure that you are very careful, because once you've confirmed and then transaction is gone, it's gone. It's recorded on the blockchain, you can't change it. That is the immutability part of it. And then the uncensorability of Bitcoin on the blockchain means, because it is decentralized, governments don't understand the power of decentralization. A majority of mining companies were based in China because there's cheap electricity and there are smart people in China who actually figured out to build computers that can do the job that human beings used to do in Bitcoin. So in 2009, 2010, and some part of 2011, individuals used to be the ones to mine Bitcoin. So they used to be the ones to do the calculations in the blockchain, verify the transactions, etc. But in around 2011, as more and more people started using Bitcoin, the calculations became humanly impossible to do. So a human being couldn't do and solve the calculations. So they had to create something else. So the Chinese are the ones, through a company called Bitmain, who created machines that could perform these transactions without requiring human beings. The thing that you needed was electricity, and then the machine could run and then perform these actions. So then they decided to start building companies around these machines. So in China, we had the majority of mining companies there. And then China thought that because most of these mining companies are based in China, if they shut all of them down at the same time, Bitcoin will collapse. But remember when I explained decentralization, I said there's no single point of attack in any part of the system. So even if you had any doubts in your mind about the decentralization power of Bitcoin, the 2 weeks prior, where China banned all the mining companies, which make up about close to 45 to 50% of all the mining companies in the industry, nothing happened to Bitcoin. The price just continued doing what it does. People used to continue doing their transactions, and transactions were successful. People moved on like nothing happened. It's unlike on the 14th of December when Google went down for an hour. People's lives stopped. That doesn't happen in Bitcoin because of the power of decentralization. So the blockchain is that ledger that existed before Bitcoin was created. There are many ledgers or databases that have been there. And one thing you and I need to understand about innovation and disruption is that innovation is not the creation of something new, but it is the combining of things that exist to create something that didn't exist before. So this is where those who consider themselves smart, and by this I mean banks, want to lie to consumers by saying Bitcoin is not the most important thing. The blockchain is the one that is the revolution. So what you need to understand is that Bitcoin used game theory, which is an economic concept. They used the blockchain ledger, which was a ledger that had already existed. They used the internet, which is a protocol that had already existed. They used cryptography, which is a mathematical system of securing transactions on the internet, which already existed. They combined all these things in such a technical way that it created something new, which was decentralized and could not be controlled by anyone. And that thing is named Bitcoin. So a blockchain doesn't exist in its current format. without Bitcoin. Game theory does not exist in its current format without Bitcoin. The internet does not exist in its current format within the Bitcoin system without Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the bringing together of all these systems to create this new thing that is uncontrollable, but controls itself. It's not out of control, but it doesn't get controlled by an individual or any central organization. So that is what Bitcoin is. So when someone comes and say, let's trade Bitcoin for you, let's do what, which is what AfriCrypt was doing, which is what MTI was doing. If you don't understand and you are running after quick money, you will join those businesses and then you will experience a lot of pain. But if you understand Bitcoin, you will understand that you don't need those companies because Bitcoin is meant to create a space where you don't need central organizations to use it. You can use central organizations to earn Bitcoin, but you don't need central organizations to get Bitcoin. So to get Bitcoin, you simply need a Bitcoin wallet. You have your own phone, you have your own data or internet. You go onto your Play Store, you download your Bitcoin wallet. You register it, you verify your email address, you do the necessary login details. You don't even need a bank account. It's just that a majority of us in the middle class who are using Bitcoin have bank accounts and are used to working with bank accounts. So you have two options once you've downloaded that wallet. You can link your bank account, which you normally use where you receive your salary, etc., with the Bitcoin wallet so that you can transfer your normal currency into the wallet, then convert it from its normal currency system to Bitcoin. Then you can hold that Bitcoin over a period of time and experience the store of value that I was explaining earlier of it going from 0 to 65,000 US dollars. It can help you to create wealth. The second option is if you don't have a bank account, once you've created your wallet on your smartphone, you find out in the country that you're in, the city you are in, the province you are in, where can I find a Bitcoin ATM? You get cash, go to the Bitcoin ATM, click buy Bitcoin, and then put your wallet address there, put in the cash, you have Bitcoin. So you see that you don't necessarily need a third party. So why are you giving people, okay, let's say this now. After explaining all this to you, is MTI really trading your Bitcoin for you? Is AfriCrypt really trading your Bitcoin for you? If, for example, you were England in the gold rush, and I came and I said, England, after you have invested so much money fighting and colonizing countries to get this gold, can you give it to me and then I will trade it against silver for you? And then once I trade it against silver and coal in the market, I'll be able to acquire more money so that you can have more of this gold. Do you think the Queen of England would have accepted?
Nope.
Of course not. Why would I give you something that I've already had to get more of it when I know how to get it in the first place? I didn't need you to get it initially, so why do I need you to grow it? These people are not trading Bitcoin for you. What they're doing is they're getting currency from you because they don't have enough currency themselves to buy as much Bitcoin as they want. So in order to get that currency for you, they create their own coins because now people can create their own cryptocurrencies. So they will create their own shitcoin and say to you, invest in this, we will trade it, and then you'll make a profit. Then with that profit, we'll buy you Bitcoin. What they do is they ask for your money, you give it to them, they take it and buy Bitcoin. Or actually, some of them who are very cruel, they don't even ask for your rands, they ask for your Bitcoin. So they say to you, download a wallet, buy Bitcoin with your currency, then give us your Bitcoin. We will then trade the Bitcoin for you on the market. There's none of them has made a higher return than Bitcoin has in the past 12 years at any point. Bitcoin has grown on average by 200% year in, year out. None of these companies have made more returns than Bitcoin in the past 12 years. None of them. So what's the point of you giving the Bitcoin to them? Because if you hold it, you are more likely to make much more money or to gain much more value over the year, over 2 years, than what you would get from them trading for you. So when you give them your Bitcoin, they are taking it because they know it's valuable, it's gold. You are not getting it back. What they do is that they get you to advertise so much to other people so that they can get what is called critical mass. Once they hit that sweet spot where they have 70,000 Bitcoin, they no longer need you. They shut down everything and they move on with their lives. They now have power. And there's no way you can get those Bitcoin back. No way. They are gone forever. So what you need to start doing for yourself is to start learning about something called cold storage. You get your Bitcoin. Normally, you get your app, you take your money, link it. If you are using cash, you use cash. If you're using your bank, you link it, and then you buy your Bitcoin. Once you've bought the Bitcoin, you must understand that the Bitcoin wallet that you're using is also a central organization. It's like a bank. That's why they ask you for your ID, your proof of address, etc., etc. It's because they are regulated by the financial system of that country that requires them to do something called KYC, which is a stupid process, but they do it anyway. It doesn't work, but they do it anyway. So you do KYC. This means if the government goes to that organization and asks for your information, that organization is obliged to give it to them. Some of you might know that SARS has the authority to ask your bank to take money out of your account and pay SARS without your approval. Okay? You will wake up in the morning and find 300,000 gone out of your account. When you call your bank will say, well, we got an instruction from SARS to say that you owe them this money and they want it now. So we are obliged as a bank to give it to them without speaking to you, even though this is your money. So the same thing can happen if you leave your Bitcoin in a central organization, which is a Bitcoin wallet on your phone, which is Luno, Altcoin Trader, VALR, Local Bitcoins, etc., etc. Those are central organizations that the government can go to and say, hey, what is Kitumetu doing with Bitcoin? Where is he transferring it to? Can you freeze his account? And they are obliged to do so because they belong to the system. They follow the regulations of the system. But because we are in a transitional period where we need to use them to get the Bitcoin, we need to be smart about it. Once we've gotten the Bitcoin, how do we remove it from their position and put it in our position? You do that through something that is called the cold storage. So this is my story for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I was trying by all means to give you a clear understanding of what Bitcoin is and what the blockchain is, why it is important, and why so far there's nothing else. There's no other cryptocurrency, even Ethereum, that is better than Bitcoin. And I'm not underscoring the impact that Ethereum has had in the industry. It is major. Ethereum has really done great things for the industry, and it continues to do so and probably will do so forever. But ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin is gold. It's not silver. Ethereum is silver. Silver is also a very important commodity and metal that is still user-friendly today, but gold is gold. It's in the Bible even. It's incomparable to anything. So Bitcoin is gold. You don't get it and then give it away to people. You don't do that. You get it, you retain it, and you save it with everything in your power so that it can help you and your children by giving you power, giving you wealth. Rubilux is not a company that says, give us your Bitcoin, we'll grow it for you. We sell products. Because Bitcoin is a monetary system, you buy the product, you give us the money, you get the product. Then you use the product to earn more Bitcoin. It's the work that you do that will earn you the more Bitcoin. So instead of waiting for the 200 rands to be available from your disposable income at the end of the month so that you can buy 200 rands worth of Bitcoin, you want to earn as much of it as possible. So you plug into Rubilux, you buy the product that allows you to earn it, you build the business. You work on the business, you get paid in Bitcoin. So instead of the 200, you might now get 4,000 euros worth of Bitcoin every single day. And because you are smart, when you get it from Rubilux, you withdraw it immediately into your cold storage because it does not belong to Rubilux, it belongs to you. So you work the business, you gain the 4,000 euros worth of Bitcoin every single day from Rubilux because you work hard and you see the value of Bitcoin. Then you take that Bitcoin and you put it away in your cold storage where only you have access to it. Then you plan your life. In case I get hit by a car tomorrow, I speak to Sil. How do I make sure that my children get access to this Bitcoin in the future if I die? Then he says, okay, this is how you plan it. This is where you take your passwords. This is how your children are going to get access to it. So Rubilux is helping us build that community of people who have the experience in the financial industry and also the cryptocurrency industry so that we can combine these two spaces to create the financial world that is required for us to move forward in this life. So I'm going to give Ntate Sello Motohai a few minutes to speak. I'm not sure if Pauline is with us in the presentation. If she is, I'm going to ask her to close for us because she's the one who's been in the industry longer than all of us. She's been in the industry since about 2012, 2013. So she's a veteran. She's seen it all. She's seen the ups and downs of Bitcoin. She's seen China banning it. She's seen the forks where certain people who were activists for Bitcoin all of a sudden started saying, no, there's Bitcoin Cash. It's much better than Bitcoin. Hey, this and that. So there are very many things that have happened. Some of these things are not even companies. Like, for example, Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin that also took people's money. And people who didn't understand the value of Bitcoin moved from Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash. Today, they regret it because Bitcoin Cash has been hovering around 200 euros US dollars for 5 years. It's not doing anything. But Bitcoin has grown by thousands and thousands of percentages from there because that's where the real value lies. Dr. Motohai.
Thank you very much. Biko, I don't know where to start, but let me try and make up a story quickly. Today, I'm honored to be joined by one of my clients when I was a financial advisor at NetBank by the name of Mercedes. I think you can see the name Mercedes there. All I want to say to Mercedes today, she was there last year, 2 years ago, when the bank decided to close my business account. Like what you have been saying the bank can close your business account anytime. She knows about it. I narrated the story to her. So basically, what is it that I'm trying to say? Guys, any bank can close your bank account at any stage. Like because said, they can just decide, SARS says you are owing them and send your Bitcoins to SARS if your Bitcoins are kept in a local exchange. So be careful about keeping your money in banks because the banks can take them at any time. Your husband can obtain a court order for you to maintain the kids. When that happens, they can just go to the bank with an instruction and say, maintain your husband. You will be forced to pay 20,000 to your husband, whether you like it or not, when that is an order by any high court in your country. So I'm just sharing this story so that all of you are aware that if you think you are owning the money that's in your bank account or in your investment, whether it's 32 days notice, fixed deposit, whether it's unit trust, that money doesn't belong to you. That money doesn't belong to you. It actually belongs to the state. It belongs to the government. They can take it at any time and do whatever they feel like with it. But I will share a story with you now that Mercedes is in this meeting. Mercedes was one of my clients that I did unit trust investments for her. Now I've got a phone number that I'm no longer using, that I used to use way back in 2009 when I was in the bank. That phone number, even last year when I was using it, I would see the bank getting money from work that was done by me. I'm saying it's more than 10 years that I've left the bank, but they are still making money from work that I did, which I feel is unfair. It's like, let me explain it in this way. I would take Mercedes money and put her money in equities, unit trusts. Now, there is something they call an ongoing fee that you receive as the money of the client grows within the unit trust portfolio. Even today, the bank is collecting those fractions each and every day. What made sense for me with Rubilux, or the conversation that I had with Andy this week, is that we are this close for our license to be approved for something like unit trusts or payments like ongoing fees. So any one of you registers on Rubilux and they start doing what is called banking or saving, when the person makes a withdrawal, because normally there are withdrawal fees, whoever you invited when they deposit, because there are also deposit fees, the person that invited such people would be getting commission from that. So in my humble opinion, I would suggest I have worked in the bank or in banks and insurance companies, and I am certain that I have taken more than 5,000 people to those institutions. So if I bring 5,000 people under myself on Rubilux, and each and every day when those people transact, 5,000 people make a deposit or a withdrawal, I receive 40 rands. In my humble opinion, I am set for life. Besides other business opportunities that are there within Rubilux, just when people deposit and make withdrawals, because we have also applied for a license to be an exchange, just like Binance. So once you become an exchange and people start trading on the Rubilux platform, if you have registered a lot of people under your name, you are already set, you are well off. So I'm encouraging you to start registering people under your name, just for fun. In future, when the people start understanding Bitcoin and they start using the Rubilux platform, you will thank me one day, because that's how I will end the meeting. I see it's 25 past. Let's not keep people for too long. I think people can join us again on Thursday, where we'll present Rubilux to all of them. Let's
Is
say
Pauline,
thank you very much to everybody that joined us tonight. Maybe
is
you can
Pauline not
conclude.
in the meeting?
I'm not sure.
I think I'd requested to be allowed not to speak because I'm on the road, but I can say this, okay? I can say this for 1 minute. First of all, thank you very much, Biko and Selo, for a great presentation, which I enjoy. I have my earphones on, just listening and learning. And as Biko has put it, I've been in this industry for many years, and I've seen every drama, in this industry. Okay, I came from not even knowing what I was getting involved in. I had the same lack of knowledge like just majority of you, but with time, I've come to understand what this industry is all about. And to tell you the truth, I call myself lucky, because it's not that it's something I understood when I got in, just like majority. I actually was just out of peer pressure that I joined, because my friends were, talking about Bitcoin, and everybody wanted to buy Bitcoins, and I had not even understood what it was. And then we just got involved in Bitcoin that way. And today I thank God for that peer pressure from my friends. And it's one of the golden opportunities. I wish people can wake up and look at it like so, that this is one of the biggest opportunities that you even get to know about the industry. Forget about even investing in it. You understand today, because this industry, just like internet, the way Biko has taken you through, it is going to be here. It's going to grow bigger every single day. The fact that you are aware of this industry should push you to do something about it. Do it early enough, lest you regret. Like majority of my friends who did not do anything in 2012. They dropped it. They just, they didn't take the opportunity. Personally, I looked at it as an opportunity and I invested. So my dear brothers and sisters, take this opportunity. Do something with it. Start somewhere. Whether you are buying to hold, whether you are getting into Rubilux, whatever you have to do to get Bitcoins, please go for it. So long as you are not in any scamming kind of business. Because if you are scamming people, you will also be scammed at some stage. Believe you me, I've seen it happening all the time. But what Biko said, I can request you to take this home. Protect your Bitcoins with all what you got, whether it's 0.1, whether it's 0.001. Can you actually hire policemen to guard it if you have to? You do something, hire security to protect your Bitcoin. That Satoshi you have, please don't give it to somebody you don't know out there. Everybody is looking for this thing, and they are only manipulating the people who have not understood the opportunity. People have not understood the industry. Please, please, my brothers and sisters, it pains me, especially when I see my fellow Africans losing their Bitcoins. Whatever it is, find somebody, find a mentor. If somebody gives you an opportunity about this industry, get in touch with your mentor. We are not telling you to join Rubilax. If you feel it's not your thing, it's okay with us. We have the entire world to sell Rubilax to. But find a mentor who can guide you. If somebody gives you an opportunity in the industry, consult that person. Check with that person. I offer those services all the time. I don't just talk about Rubilax. And so many people today call me, Pauline, have you heard about this? Pauline, can I do this? Find somebody. Could that person be Biko? Could that person be Cello? Somebody you trust who will not mislead you. So with that, we come to the end of our training tonight. So thank you very much, guys. I'm on the road and I send it back to Biko. I think we can just close it. All right.
Okay.
So join us on Thursday for a full presentation on Rubilax.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Good night.
I just have one last thing to say, and I apologize for taking them time, but I have to say it's burning me. So Greece is one of the developed economies in the world. 2008, we had a global financial crisis where most countries found themselves in an economic crisis. Greece is one of the countries that suffered the most from that. In 2014-15, they started implementing austerity measures. One of the people that I started following when I was learning about Bitcoin, his name is Andreas Antonopoulos. Please go and find him on YouTube. He will teach you about this industry like no one else. He's very reliable, and yes.
Just type his name.
Okay, I'll type it. Let me just say what I need to say, and then I'll type it. So Andreas Antonopoulos has Greek parents. So one of the things that he did, he foresaw the decision to do austerity measures by the Greece government. So he quickly went from the United States to his parents in about 2013, going into 2014, to say, guys, you need to take your pension out of. What's happening now?
We can still talk because we can hear you.
Okay. So he said, you need to take your pension out of the banks because the government will soon start saying to people they will only have a certain amount, access to a certain amount of the money that is in the bank. The parents did not understand. They're like, but what is this Bitcoin of yours? It's like, look, guys, I'm your child. Can you trust me? I can't explain it to you, but what I can tell you is the government has the power to say you don't have access to your pension, and they will do it soon because they don't have any other option. They have this humongous debt that they need to pay, and they don't know where the money is going to come from. The parents agreed. He took all their money, their retirements, everything from insurance, everything, and he put it in Bitcoin. Few months after he did that, Greece implemented austerity measures. People in Greece could not get access to the funds that were in their accounts. The parents, their parents, so they already had love for their child. But after they saw the suffering of Greek people who could not get a hold of the money, they were so grateful to their child. And you need to understand something. The money that he took out of the system and put into Bitcoin at that point had already grown by 4 times in a space of 5-6 months. So they had even more money than they initially had in the banks where they had the funds. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this as a duty that I feel as a human being I need to say to you. Pauline and Silla are saying, yes, you have time, you don't. You must be honest with you. Look around, look at the country, look at the world. Governments are extremely corrupt. They're chowing money left, right, and center, number one. The health system is extremely broken. People are sick. You don't know what they're sick from. Apparently, people are dying. There's no proof. There are vaccines. They are bought. Once they are bought, they are contaminated. They are thrown away. Billions are spent on them. No one is held accountable. People are looking after their own, their families, etc. The time is now where you need to make a decision, because what is going to happen, I have a hunch, in the next few months or so, in this country in particular, we might be forced to vaccinate, whether we want to or not. If you refuse, the same method that Greece implemented might be implemented in South Africa. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not a prophet. I'm saying, just like we have been telling people since 2017 that there will be an economic collapse coming, we are saying to you, if you really value your wealth, move it away from the financial systems, because sooner rather than later, the president might just come and say, well, unfortunately, you only have access to 30% of the money that you have in the fund, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is what Bitcoin was created for. And it was created in the right time. We had more than enough time to know about it and learn about it so that we can move into it and protect it. Those who are still blind and still in the dark, it is our duty to keep them right. So every single one of you who was in this presentation, do not commit a crime by sharing this information with whoever is your friend, whoever is your colleague, your parents, your family, everyone. Yesterday, I went out to share.
Just mute
Voice somewhere.
E2,
I
please.
don't know.
It's E2.
Oh, okay. Please mute yourself. Thank you. Yesterday, I went out with some of my family members. Don't know what Bitcoin is, doesn't matter. Said, this is how you do the transaction. You go to an ATM with your cash that you've saved. This is how you transact. People are now starting to get this. And even those that are not getting it, they are seeing that, but the one that we have now is not working. So would you rather wait for a Zimbabwe situation to happen first, or do you want to be prepared when it happens? Because I can tell you it is going to happen. I don't know exactly when, but it's going to happen. So what I'm expecting to happen is for me and Silo to get lots of calls from people from today to see how they can become part of this. If you are a smart person who cares about their wealth, their health, and their livelihood, you will try to do everything in your power to become a part of this world. Thursday, we have a presentation which is going to be normal, not this emotional thing that we were having today, where we're going to basically just present what opportunity we have, why we believe it's the best, why we believe it can assist you to acquire and earn Bitcoin. I think you might have understood the importance of Bitcoin during this presentation. So if you're a person who's business-minded, a person who wants to create a financial future, you would want ways to acquire Bitcoin. So on Thursday, we'll be presenting the way that we use, which is called RubyLux, in terms of how it works and how you can become a part of it. We also have a Saturday presentation, and thank God I'll be in the house this Saturday, so the presentation will be much better. I will have no network issues. So you can join us on Saturday. It's a bit long. That's where we also try to delve deeper into the history of money so that you can understand how we arrived at the journey of Bitcoin. And then we also speak about RubyLux and explain the compensation plan and how you can become a part of us. Thank you to each and every individual who has been part of this meeting since 7 o'clock. I believe it was one of the most important days, the most important 1.5 hours that we will ever have in our lives, to learn about this revolutionary system that can really, really transform our lives. If you don't believe it, just speak to Pauline and see how it has transformed her life in a space of 8-9 years. Right? Something that the financial system that we've been living with since we were born has never done. In fact, it has actually done the opposite by entrenching poverty in our lives. So we are trying by all means at RubyLux to ensure that you don't go to scams, you get rid of that mentality of quick money, you understand that everything that is worthwhile has to be worked for. Nothing comes easy. Anything that comes easy also goes easy. So you need to understand that what we're doing here is building a future for our children. So we need to build solid foundations, solid relationships and networks, and solid businesses that will last long after us, after we are gone. And we are on that journey. We are not playing. We are very serious. So if you want to be a part of that journey, don't wait. There's no point. There's no reason. What are you waiting for? There's nothing else that's better. We've looked around, we've checked. People are being scammed left, right, and center. And AfriCrypt, actually, they are starting to discover that it seems like they even have more than 71,000 Bitcoin that they were predicted. So please, let us get rid of this thing of South Africans being scammed all the time. Can we be smart about our money? Can we start building our future properly? Thank you very much again for each and every individual for joining us. We hope to see you again on Thursday, but not alone. Invite people. If you think this was valuable, please invite more people so that they can also get this value, and we can build a community of people holding each other's hands to build a new world where freedom will reign, where wealth will be protected, where governments can no longer be as corrupt as they are without being accountable, because now we will have the power without having to ask it from them. Okay, thank you very much and good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for having joined. You can contact us directly because you didn't type the name. People were asking for the